If you're new to the channel or this is your first time stumbling across my content, I'm an FPS player that's decided to take a hiatus to try and learn fighting games. And I must say I'm pretty pleased with my results so far. I've even dropped a guide attempting to help other newcomers get into the genre, especially with such a stacked set of fighting games on the horizon. But I must say, no game has captivated my attention as much as Project L has. I have so much hope in this game. I'm standing on the statement that Project L will shift the future of fighting games. Now I know that's a pretty hefty statement, but I got evidence to back it up. I'm not just all talk and no action. But before I get into that, if you enjoy the content, feel free to drop a like, sub to the channel, and drop a comment. As somebody who's really getting into this content creator stuff, the criticism is very helpful, but I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna get into these points as to why I believe so heavily that Project L can shift the future of fighting games.
We want you to be able to play no matter where you live, what your skill level is, or how much money you have to spend on a game. To that, I'm happy to confirm that Project L will be free to play.
And there you have it, straight from the developer's mouth. It does not get better and clearer than that. This game is going to be free to play. Already, that is a huge weight off of a newcomer's shoulders. Their biggest risk when trying to get into fighting games is that cost of entry. Most fighting games have a starting price of $40 to $60, and with the current state of gaming, some of those prices are starting to get hiked up to even $70. And with no way to gain info on the game other than watching tournaments or having played previous titles, it feels very disrespectful for a newcomer to get into these games without having their pockets ran to find out they don't even like the game in the first place. That's why Street Fighter did so well with Street Fighter 6. They gave people a demo where they could practice with Luke and Ryu to try and learn the essentials of Street Fighter. They opened the beta up to supply more characters that were going to be in the starting cast, allow people to play with modern controls, and if they felt like they enjoyed their time with this game, by the time it came out, people had a greater understanding of Street Fighter and felt more comfortable paying that $60 when the game came out. Well, with a game like Project L that's going to be free to play, they don't even have to worry about that. They can try the game out. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they can move on to something else. Another important factor to take into account is that this is Riot Games. They are well known for making free to play games with a pay model that is not too intrusive to your pockets.
When it comes to monetization, we promise to be respectful of both your time and your wallet.
If you want to spend money on the game, you're allowed to, but you're not forced to if you just want to be good at the game. League of Legends has characters that you can either pay with real money, or if you grind the game out enough, you can buy those individual characters with the in-game currency you've saved up in-game. Valorant works the very same way. You can spend real money to unlock the agents if you so desire. But if you play the game enough, you can unlock the characters over time with the in-game currency. They could do the same thing in Project L, which would be another huge win for Project L because most fighting games sell those extra characters for $5 to $10 as DLC, whereas Project L could have their starting cast, and if they add any extra characters in the future, they could give players that same option of if they really enjoy a character and need to have their hands on that character, they could straight up buy the character. But if they feel comfortable grinding the game out, learning the fundamentals along the way, and have a certain character they're interested in, they can spend the in-game currency on that character. From there, they could go about adding skins like they have in League and Valorant. They could add some of those skins that exist in League that are fan favorites. They could add that to the characters that exist in Project L. And as a free-to-play title, they could add a battle pass. I'm not the fondest of this idea, but for a free-to-play game, I understand. A lot of companies have started getting comfortable with the concept of giving you a $60 to $70 game, and on top of that, adding a $10 or even more expensive battle pass for people to invest in. I personally am starting to feel like battle passes are a little tedious, but for a free-to-play game like Project L, I'd understand if they added it to the game. If you check Project L's website, they actually have the control scheme available to the public. This was for when they had the demo at EVO for people to try out. And if you take a closer look, they have a 4 to 6 button setup for light, medium, and heavy attacks, a tag button, and 2 dedicated buttons specifically for special moves. So instead of doing charge inputs or quarter circle motion to get a special attack out, you have 2 buttons set specifically for those special attacks, and 2 extra buttons that you could set for a parry and a dash move if you don't feel like double tapping forward to dash or pressing the 2 or 3 buttons required to get a parry off in this game. As I said earlier, this game is going to be free to play, so this removes the risk for newcomers wanting to get in the genre but not knowing where to start. On top of that, Riot is still riding the hype of Arcane. One of the biggest questions that the Riot community asked for after watching Arcane was, is there any other game that exists that allows us to appreciate these characters outside of League of Legends? Because League is known for being one of the most toxic communities in all of gaming. So having a game with a beginner-friendly control scheme, making it free to play so that newcomers don't have to pay an arm and a leg for the game, and using characters that people know and love coming off of an animated series such as Arcane, if that's not a recipe for success, I don't know what is. And the game looks good. A lot of us that have played Riot games before have made jokes about Riot should just stop making games and be an animation company, because we saw how good Arcane looked. We see how good the animations look in Project L, along with other games, and we see how good the cinematics turn out for games like Valorant and League of Legends. This game is just set up so perfectly to do well, which leads me to my last point. The esport potential for this game is insane. To start off, the developers that I've been showing you throughout the video, these 2 brothers are the founders of EVO, which is known for being the most notorious fighting game tournament of all time. So if there's anyone that you could put your trust into to make a good fighting game that's going to last long, who better than the creators of a fighting game tournament scene that has been going strong for about 12 years. And let's not forget, this is being published by Riot. Riot invests a lot into their competitive scenes, with LCS and VCT being very popular, thriving esport leagues. And with the new game on the horizon, this adds the potential for a lot more content, because in all honesty, it was pretty hard to come by FGC content pre-COVID, when a lot of these top players started realizing that majors weren't offline and a lot more online tournaments started taking place. They started to up their content. They started to stream more of their tournament runs. A lot of content creators started getting comfortable doing VOD reviews or watch parties of these big tournaments. And we started seeing a lot of newer faces emerge in the FGC content creator space. And with a game like Project L, it'll be interesting to watch the new era of fighting game players emerge from this game. It'll be interesting to watch a lot of players who already have communities from playing FPS games or other genres of games take the attempt to try and learn a fighting game through Project L. It also presents opportunities to bring new players into a comp scene, similar to what Premier is in Valorant. They could implement something like that to Project L, inviting people to compete for some type of in-game league or in-game tournament series to get people into the understanding of how fighting game tournament style works. If people aren't sure where their local fighting game scene might be, they might have something in-game to prep people for that type of environment. This provides more potential for top players to promote their orgs or sponsors on stream, because Riot does a good job of promoting their pro teams in series like LCS or VCT. And the potential for collaboration in this game is endless, seeing as how they said you're allowed to play either single player or as a duo in this game. You can see a lot of your favorite content creators or top players start collaborating in a tournament run. You could start seeing a lot more organizations pick up 2 players instead of just 1, allowing teams to form, further expanding the potential for everyone involved to win. From the team orgs and sponsors being able to profit more off of the players being able to profit more from the tournaments, and from the content they create, and for the spectators and casual players to still have a good time with the game. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the video. I tried my best to give y'all some decent points, and who knows, hopefully y'all are a little more swayed to try Project L when it finally releases, or at least have hope that this game does well when it finally does release. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to drop a like, sub to the channel, and drop a comment, because I do genuinely check the comments for criticism. And if you're new to the FGC and want to try out fighting games, feel free to check the guide that I dropped. Maybe it'll help you in the long run.